Live. Good evening. My name is Ben. This is Ollie, and that is the layman when it comes to Disney. That is John, and this is the Dismal Disney Show. And we call it that because we are the most honest reviewers of Disney products on the internet. We do this because we are not affiliated in any way with the Walt Disney Company. Ollie over there is a Disney mega fan, and John is an absolute layman. So, Ollie, over to you.
Thanks, Ben. Well, this week, obviously, we had the investors' earnings call last week. So we're kind of Chapek heavy, or Chapstick heavy, or Cheapek heavy, or however you want to.
Cheapek. We call him Cheapek on this show.
Okay, well, sorry, we're Cheapek. We're Cheapek heavy this week, unfortunately, which will probably bring about some negativity. I know we are honestly reporting, but yeah, it could dip into negativity this week.
So where would you like to begin?
Well, let's begin with a combined point to begin with. CEO Chapek says theme park prices may rise to meet consumer demand.
And
so
this story and pretty much all of our stories this week comes via Walt Disney World News Today, WDWNT. The second most honest Disney reporters on the internet.
Yeah. Yes, they definitely are. They definitely are second now, unfortunately, but they are very good.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 points from this. Obviously, everything was up this week. This quarter, everything was up. Everything was good. Earnings per share, revenue, everything's up. Everything's doing well. Obviously, because he's a cost-cutting, cheap hoodlum. But
he's a money man. He's a capitalist.
He's an absolute grifter.
He's a capitalist, Ollie.
Yeah. No, I understand this, but never before has the Walt Disney Company had this much focus on penny pinching. Like it started coming with Eisner in the 80s, then Iger took it to a new level, but this is unprecedented levels of greed and money-making focus for the company. I saw a good article. I can't remember who wrote it, but just saying how he's just done away with any kind of pretending to be a Disney CEO, and he's just a machine.
Well, the thing is, that's why they brought him in, and that's why they've ultimately extended his contract, right? They've not extended his contract because he's a likable guy, because, my God, he's the dullest person on the planet. And when he turns up to these events to open up these parks, or when he goes on stage in September at D23, he will get booed because he's so dull. But
100%.
You've got to remember, and with being careful with our words, obviously, the last 2.5 years have been absolutely financially catastrophic for companies like the Walt Disney Company. And so now they're not just looking to make a profit on current year, but there's money they need to recoup. And who's your man to cut costs and raise prices? It's Bob Chapek or Bob Cheapek. But I don't know. I don't know if I can. I'm pretty pissed that he's doing this because the parks are doing well, and that's
exactly it. That's the main point. Like literally, it's not. He's not doing it because the parks are empty. He's not doing it because they're not making profit. He's doing it to exploit demand. Yeah. And the way that there's another article coming in. Well, we'll probably join it into this one, to be honest with you. But the fact that he says to meet consumer demand, I know what he really means. But when you just read that quickly, it sounds like people want prices to raise.
They don't.
And of course they don't. And when he was talking about Anaheim's profit, their business, and he was saying there was a unfavorable guest mix or something like that, or an unfavorable consumer mix. Like literally, like the wording of his statements.
What he's basically saying there is there are too many people with annual passes who live locally are going. Is what he means.
Yeah. I mean, and he can say that, but he can say it in like just a plain, obvious way. He doesn't have to try and just like dress it up with with jargon and everything, because we know what he really means. But he doesn't have to try and be just clever about it. Just speak honestly. Just he's just vile.
Well, once again, he is a capitalist. He is a money man, and they work, and I am an unashamed capitalist also. We work on supply and demand, and so I can understand the points of view, and I can understand the needs of the company. I mean, as an actual current business owner, John, what's your thoughts?
I I understand, and if to be honest, it is pure capitalism, as you say, and really, if demand exceeds supply, then you put the prices up, don't you?
I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself when it comes to capitalism, but at the same time, this is supposed to be the happiest place on earth, and families are supposed to want to go there. But at the same time, the cost of living crisis is upon us, and it's upon us
That's exactly
everywhere
what I was gonna say.
in the West, and it's not just hit the Walt Disney Company. And basically, what they are doing, unfortunately, and I don't know if it's, I think it could be by design actually, and that could be more nefarious even still, is they are pricing poorer families out and saying we only want people to come here who can afford our hiked ticket prices, so they will also buy our food and merchandise. And it's a bit snaky because, like I said, poorer families everyone aspires to go to Disneyland or go to Disney World. It's the place they want to go. And you're essentially telling them, you can't come here. And that's a bit sucky, in my view.
And it's because it's not only pricing out the poor, but like it comes on top of, all the nickel and diming he's been doing for the last 3 or 4 years, where he's been just charging for everything. Like everything's been, all the quantities of like things have been scaled back, but the price has been increased. Everything that wasn't charged for in the past is now charged for.
Yeah,
so
Fast Pass, for example.
Well, yeah, exactly. So it's just one thing after another where he could have thought, oh, maybe there's a cost of living crisis going on across the West here. We're making profits. Let's maybe have a year where we don't raise prices, and maybe that will increase guest satisfaction.
Maybe even lower prices, because we're in a possible position to do so. Because, a profit little and often is a profit still. And so if this is where I'm coming from. If you lowered your gate prices and even lowered your food and merch prices, because you're making a killing on food and merch, Disney.
Yeah.
By the way, your profit margins are massive on food and merch. But if you lowered it all slightly to get more people through the gates,
but why do you want more people through the gates? Because obviously
you want them spending.
Yeah, but obviously there are enough people going there. If he's putting the prices up, to stop, because the parks are full, surely.
Well, it depends what you mean by full, because they're now using a reservation system on a daily basis like they were using during the COOF, that you have to enter the park. And so they are still limiting guest numbers as far as I understand.
Yeah, they definitely are.
Is that just in Florida?
Pardon?
Is that just in Florida?
I don't know. The reservation system, I believe, is still working in Paris. I mean, I've booked reservations for October.
Yeah, it's certainly in the Western parks. I'm not sure about Asia, but he actually touts that. He actually in the earnings call, he was talking about how the reservation system, benefits them basically, because they can. It's a lot easier for them to open and close the tap when they want to, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they're loving it. They're loving that system.
Yeah. So basically, it's just a money grabbing shit.
So what they're doing is they're saying the parks are full. When I say that in inverted commas, because they're still using limited numbers but hiking prices. They're making it an exclusive product that people aspire to. And as I say, as that place where all the kids go, Mummy, Daddy, I want to go to Disneyland. This is a pretty fucking sucky thing to do. And excuse my language, because we're not supposed to swear on this show. But it's a pretty sucky thing to do. And with everybody getting this cost of living crunch, if you had done what I said, and I know you pushed back against me, John, but then they'd be seen as a company that wanted families to enjoy a magical vacation no matter what.
Yeah.
Optics. And the optics are telling me they don't want poor kids.
No, they don't. Well, look what happens. Look what happened last week.
Yeah.
When you had poor people. Well, they couldn't have been poor people. They just, I don't know. There's just certain people they don't want to attract.
Well, I mean, I pay €400 a year for my Paris annual pass now, right? Mm-hmm. That's €400 a year. That's pretty much the price of 3 days entrance into Disneyland Paris. So you can see why they're trying to phase out the annual passes in California, because they're trying to get rid of them. They're trying to say to people, we don't want them being renewed. They haven't announced a renewal for this year's annual pass at all. So when he says things like the wrong mix of guests, what he means is in Anaheim it's a locals park, and the locals are coming. We want tourists paying gate price. We want tourists not getting their discounts off food and merch.
Yeah, and buying food and merch, because locals don't buy that much food and merch. So yeah.
Well, I mean, even the amount that I've been to Disneyland Paris, you could almost consider me a local there, right? And I always buy their food and merch, but then that's for the wife and kids back home. But you know, because I'm holding that annual pass and I get that 15% discount off the food, it incentivizes me to buy it. Whereas if I was paying full price, full gate price, I probably wouldn't pay their prices because they're massive. They're massively inflated for what you get. A burger and chips for like 16, 17 euro, and a burger it tastes like it's come out the microwave. Let's face it.
Yeah.
I mean, the California, the Anaheim guest mix comes from, that's historical. That comes from way back when the park first opened in '55. Yeah. They were encouraging people to come after work. They were encouraging people to come and stay late at night for different events and stuff. And so that's kind of bred into the culture of Southern California. Like, it's not just a Disney thing. That is like Disneyland in Anaheim is a Southern California it's a staple. It's a mainstay. So like, he's literally trying to reverse the culture of Disneyland.
Yeah, he is, and I don't know if he will be successful on that front. Honestly, I don't, because remember, they actually kept the Disneyland gates closed for like a year longer than the Walt Disney World gates, nearly.
Yeah.
And that park has lost so much money, and it should be taking anything it can get at this point, I would say.
That's true.
Yeah, so shall we move on? Certainly.
So, keeping with Chapek and keeping in with optics, if you like, this is a moral question. This isn't really. There's not much kind of fact behind it, but Chapek has been seen to be thinking about launching a sports betting company. So, or maybe buying one. I'm not sure it's going to be tied in with ESPN, obviously.
So yeah, I got it here. So Bob Chapek hopes to announce sports betting partnership for Disney in the near future after doubling down on bringing Disney into the sports betting market in March. Today, Disney CEO Bob Chapek said he hopes to announce a sports betting partnership in the near future. This comes via, once again, WDWNT. So he wants to bring gambling into the Walt Disney Company.
I mean, it's absolutely insane. Like what we were talking about before with, how he rinses every cent out of the parks. This is mind-boggling. Like sports betting in America has been like a kind of a hush-hush thing for a long
think
time.
We both might disagree with you here, Ollie.
Really?
How does this sit with Disney's family-friendly image, though?
It
doesn't.
definitely
Exactly.
doesn't. No. But then, have you been on Disney Plus lately? Because I can watch the new Predator film on there.
No.
Well, that's only because we have Hulu mixed in with our Disney Plus, whereas in America
we have some Super Disney Plus that's got Hulu and Star, right?
Yeah.
But
the Disney Plus over here is better than in the States, certainly, because we pay one fee for. We're coming on to this in a bit, actually.
We will.
We pay one fee for both, effectively Hulu and Disney Plus, whereas they have to pay for them all separately.
So, I mean, I get your question, John, but then I also have to look at the moral aspect of this, right? And I'm a staunch freedom-loving libertarian. Always have been, always will be. And what my moral code tells me is, whilst it absolutely does not fit with Disney's family-friendly brand, you're absolutely right, John. Also, what gives Disney the right to not offer a service to adults if they want it?
Yeah, that's true.
That's up to Disney, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean,
I think they might damage their brand to a degree.
I think you could be right, but then again, remember, they own Fox, right? They own Fox and everything that's associated with it. So Disney own the New Mutants. They've tarnished their brand enough.
Yeah, but that still stands apart. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I understand what you're saying, but and I fully agree with you. I think it will harm and damage the brand, but then at the same time, if consenting adults that have their money want to do it, then should Disney offer that service? It's entirely up to them, of course. My suggestion would be, do not brand it Disney in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
that would be my first suggestion. I mean, they don't brand ESPN Disney. They don't brand Fox Disney. They brand it 20th Century. So if they're going to do such a thing, brand it its own thing, brand it via ESPN. Do not link it to Disney. But, you know, it's an interesting one.
I think it speaks to how big the company is now and how
they own everything.
How far removed it is. What do you say? Sorry, Ben.
I said they own everything.
Well, yeah, exactly. They're the largest media company in the world, and they're so far removed from those original family values now that I mean, I don't mind. I enjoy the occasional bet. I'm not going to deny it on the football, but ideally, I would not like to see the company get involved in it. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's purely money making.
Oh, it's definitely purely money making. Absolutely. The only reason they'd be offering the service is if they thought they were going to make a ton of money out of it.
Of course, no, I understand that, but I just can't. I don't know what thinks in his head. Like, is he going to get into drug dealing next? Is he going to get into prostitution, firearms? Like, literally,
I tell you what, if they make him roast in Vegas, Disney brothels, baby. Disney brothels is legal over there.
So you'll be able to sleep with a princess.
Oh Christ! I didn't go that far. Snow White for $400. Nope.
Honestly, I would not put it beneath him. Like, literally, like, the guy has no scruples whatsoever.
What's that, John?
Having words. I'm actually speechless.
For equality purposes, you could have the Disney princes do kind of Chippendale type Dream Boys.
Absolutely.
You have a Magic Mike of Disney princes, can you?
Hire Gaston.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean,
he'll come with his rifle. Jesus Christ. Shall we move swiftly on?
Let's move swiftly on. Yeah, certainly. Okay. I mean, it just naturally went that way.
It was your fault.
It was technically my fault, but like we were talking about, he's going into 18 movies. He's putting 18 movies next to classic Disney films. He's moving into sports betting. Like, the guy is funding the Don't Say Gay bill.
There is no Don't Say Gay bill.
But no, I know what you mean. But just for brevity, he was doing that. Mm-hmm. And whether you agree with that or not, the point is that he was doing it surreptitiously, whilst in the public eye, he was pretending not to have done that. So
the thing is, he should make if the company's going to make political donations, they should just make their political donations, probably make them equally, and just say, we're doing it, shut up.
Yeah.
Or we're not going to do anything political. We're a money-making capitalist company, and we don't care about the politicians. We care about our own ecosystem, and just get out of politics altogether. Don't donate to either side.
Yeah. So I mean, he is scrupulous, and who knows where his money-making schemes will end up anyway. Moving on.
Just saying, keep an eye on Vegas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they could do a casino quite easily, couldn't they? They could quite easily do a Disney casino.
I'd go to that.
Yeah, me too. Anyway, moving. So, specifically moving on to streaming, Disney's streaming services combined have now outstripped Netflix in terms of subscriber count.
Yes.
And then the second part of this point is that Disney have announced that they're going to bring in ad-supported tier to Disney Plus, which is actually the same price as current Disney Plus, and they're raising the price of ad-free. So when they announced the ad tier a few months ago, everyone was thinking, oh, it'll be $4.99 per month, and it'll be cheaper, or it'll be some people were thinking it was going to be free.
Remember when we first signed up to Disney Plus? It was $4.99 a month.
Yeah, no, you're right. I paid 50 quid for the first year.
Yeah, it was $4.99 a month.
Yeah. But everyone was thinking, oh, for ad supported, it might be free. It might be a half price. It might be something like that. But no, it's going to be the same price as it is now, and basic Disney Plus, without ads is going up to $10.99 in the States anyway, which I imagine will be $9.99 over here.
Money.
Forgetting about the money, because all we've been talking about money, then what do we think about Disney? I mean, Disney, they're the largest media company. They've now overtaken Netflix in terms of subscribers. that's an achievement. I think that's
Well, it is if you look at it from a certain point of view. Okay, let's not be too hasty here. It's not like Disney Plus has more subscribers than Netflix. It doesn't. What it is all of its worldwide streaming services combined. So Disney Plus, Star, Hulu, there are a couple of others. All of them combined, ESPN, all over the world have more subscribers than Netflix, right? The only way that they're going to be able to really make that brag is if Disney Plus itself, which is all of them combined over here, gets that level of subscription. It hasn't. It is mental gymnastics to get to the figure, but it is an achievement. They are obviously making money through their digital streaming services, but
they said they've lost $1 billion. They said they've I mean, they might be making money in the short term, but like apparently overall they're $1 billion down on streaming. I think that was in the earnings call last week.
That's not a lot of money in relative terms to what these services do.
But that's why they're trying. Obviously, everyone's signing up for Star Wars and Marvel, and so they're going to rinse them. So,
John, as a layman, as someone who just wants to enjoy the product, if you bought a streaming service, would you want ads?
No.
No. So would you be more inclined to pay the £3 more a month to not have ads?
Possibly, if I really wanted the service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or do you think okay, so looking at it from a layman's point of view,
it depends where the ads are as well.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. But
if the ads are at the start and end, then you could probably live with it.
Yeah.
If they're mid-roll, then forget it.
No, I mean, I wouldn't want an ad break right in the middle of my movie or show or the like. But then again, what they're coming out with in coming weeks has almost made me want to cancel my Disney Plus subscription, to be honest, because She-Hulk looks like a PlayStation 2 game.
Yeah, well, maybe he needs to take a lesson from Warner Brothers.
What, and just go scorched earth on absolutely everything woke?
Well, I was thinking more, if it's not very good quality, put it in the bin.
In the bin, yeah. I mean, She-Hulk looks like it's going to be bad. I mean, they're reintroducing Charlie Cox formally as Daredevil, and that's the only reason I may actually watch it, just for that episode. But otherwise, it's got Jamila Jamil in it. She can't act.
She's only in it for wokeness.
Well, Tatiana Maslany's a great actress. She is. She's a great actress, and unfortunately, it looks like they've done her dirty with this show. They've given her PlayStation 2 level CGI on her character. It's not, yeah. But then again, we do know.
I saw the trailer.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that was
the spaceship.
I couldn't believe that was a mainstream studio product.
It's Marvel Studios. It's not just a mainstream studio.
That's just not. That's not good enough quality to put on television. Never mind to put. In fact, that's not even good enough quality to rival, Jerry Anderson's UFO. But they put that out as quality entertainment, and I'm sorry, but that's going to turn people off.
Aren't we just a few hours technically from the release of She-Hulk?
Is it tomorrow? Is it?
No, Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday. Okay, fine.
I think it's Wednesday. I'm not.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. But yes, John.
Wednesday 18th.
Yeah, that's.
I think it's the 18th.
Well, it's the 15th today.
Thursday. So
it's coming out Thursday. John, we've got until Thursday for them to fix that CGI.
Well, we've been talking about the volume like the last few episodes, haven't we? And so like it's just looking. I'm not sure if they used the volume.
They didn't.
Obviously, it's Marvel, but just the level of CGI is taken a big dip over the last 6 months.
It's because no CGI artist in Hollywood wants to work for Marvel.
Yeah, and that's it.
Oh, because the rates are shocking, aren't they?
They're not paying them right, and they expect them to churn out the highest quality product in the industry on a very, very tight deadline. And they go, nope, not doing it.
And they're giving them, short notice work and not telling them what, making changes at the last minute, and expecting them to stay on and do these things and without paying proper overtime.
So let's go back to Warner Brothers for a sec, because this is something David Zaslav said. He said that we are pushing back our big budget films to late this year, early next year, because we want them looking and feeling the best quality they can be. So they are giving and they said we won't even announce release dates on our movies going forwards, not any solid release dates, because we don't want to put a product out until it's the best it can be. And hearing that from a studio executive is music to my ears, baby.
Do you think he's maybe reshooting some scenes?
He's definitely reshooting right now. So you know when Ezra Miller was on the run, quote unquote, they had him in to reshoot Flash scenes.
Yeah. So do you think he's actively reducing the woke in some of these movies that have been
Absolutely. He alluded to the point that the products are not in their best state and they needed to be placed within their best state. So I think that's probably what he's alluding to. I mean, they chucked on the...
This is really good because that's Warner Brothers and Netflix both making the right noises about reducing the woke.
Because once again, Bob Chapek, if you get woke, you go broke.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I mean, this could actually turn out to be, yeah. I mean, what with the terrible CGI and the overwhelming wokeness of Disney, maybe they could not go broke, obviously, but it could be a big failure for them. Like if there's Warner Brothers and other companies putting out quality, better product, then they'll be getting the money eventually, I guess.
Well, exactly. And whilst I don't wish failure upon them, if it's a lesson to be learned in order to force them to create a higher quality product that is serving the fans and not just serving their own coffers, then maybe it's what has to happen, right?
Yeah.
So shall we move on to your next story, Ollie?
Let's do it. So, it's about money again.
It's about money. This is a very money-oriented show.
It was the earnings call, so it is a kind of a money-themed week, unfortunately.
Yep.
But there is we can do some blue skying in this one. So Disney expects to increase capital expenditures to $6 billion. Likely indicates many new theme park projects. They haven't speculated on anything that might be coming, but we can certainly do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we certainly could. They have a whole land in Paris to essentially re-theme that's supposed to be going under construction now.
Why do they need to re-theme it now, though? Because if they've got all this money, then making Galaxy's Edge in Paris would be huge.
No, I don't think it would, because Galaxy's Edge is shite.
Well, you know what I mean, like a good Star Wars land.
Yeah.
Galaxy's Edge?
Galaxy's Edge is the Star Wars lands that they built in California and in Orlando. At MGM Studios at a cost of $2 billion, I might add. Yeah.
Are they any good?
No, they're not. They're beautiful.
I'm getting a kind of recurring theme here about Disney's product.
What happened, John, was they basically announced what's the word? An all-encompassing, exuberant, kind of exciting, kinetic land where constantly things would be happening, things would be moving. You'd be seeing battles, you'd be seeing vehicles move, you'd be seeing all kinds of stuff. And basically, it's just a lot of rock. And you walk around and you go on the Millennium Falcon and you get to ride an average ride, which is basically like kind of a Star Tours type ride in the Millennium Falcon. Yeah. Then you get to go on a proper e-ticket, a proper.
If you can get on it.
If you can get on Rise of Resistance, then that is obviously the crowning glory of that whole project. But the land is just it's a shop and it's a bar, and it's lots of rock.
But like I say, it's huge. It's beautiful. They've got like a full-size recreation of the Millennium Falcon you can look at. Lot of rock, but it's
just. Can you go in it?
You don't go in it. You go round it, and then you go to the Millennium Falcon ride, and then within the show building of the Millennium Falcon ride, you do get to go on to a recreation of the Falcon. So you sit around the chessboard and things like that. But that is literally all it is. And as Ollie said, they made these huge promises on stage at D23. They said you were going to see roving droids. You'd be able to have your own Star Wars story where things, for example, if you lost points within the land, like a social credit system, you'd be on the naughty list and things. They'd be able to... And all of this shite that they promised, a very watered down version of it got placed in their $6,000 hotel.
Yeah. I mean, they should have guys dressed up as stormtroopers and all that marching about.
Oh yeah, they get that sometimes. It's
And aliens and things like that all the time. Though they need to be.
Yeah. Like
right?
the cantina, the cantina, for example, should be like just populated with aliens 24/7. Like it's not hard, is it really?
And they should have a band playing in there all the time.
Yeah.
But
no,
aliens-
they've got a DJ that's a robot from Star Tours.
yeah, but it's just not. I mean, it's like the Star Wars hotel. They've overpromised and underdelivered.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Do it the other way round.
But all of the stuff that's in that hotel was meant to be free in the land.
Yeah, because I was going to say, weren't guests in the land supposed to have like tablets or like communicators?
So you would be able to have an app on your phone, and you'd be able to play. They've sort of bought a really crappy version of that in now, I believe, with Magic Band Plus.
Okay, yeah.
But you were supposed to be able to live your own Star Wars story. Things like the points you got on the Falcon would be added to your score, and things like that. None of this occurred. It didn't happen. So.
Just people, aren't they?
Well, yeah, and like I said, they spent like $2 billion building these two lands, and then they promised a half-size version of it to the Paris expansion, a half-size version, with only one of the rides, and we believe, looking at the schematics of the ride building that was going to be built, it would have been Rise of Resistance, which is the better ride of the two. But they've now turned around, just a couple of weeks back, on the, Natasha Rafalski, who is head of Disneyland Paris, she turned around and she said, the theme for the second land is currently undecided. Despite the fact on the concept art, it shows a Star Wars land with X-Wing fighters. And that's on the wall in front of the construction site in the park.
Yeah, so I mean, they could do that if they're going to be spending $6 billion, then they could give us Galaxy. Somewhat. I mean, if they had the time and the money, they would redesign it to be either prequel trilogy or original trilogy, because sequel trilogy didn't captivate enough guests. But even if they just gave us Galaxy's Edge with Rise, that would be fine.
Well, I'm not so sure, because I'm going to go in a little bit more, because they're spending €2 billion on this expansion at Walt Disney Studios Park, and I believe on the Village as well, which construction's beginning soon. But they're spending €2 billion on this expansion, and they are giving their guests 2 new rides.
Yes.
Possibly 1 new ride at this time.
You got to remember, it's France. $2 billion doesn't get you what it would get you in America.
No, that's very true, but they are only giving their guests a copy of a 30-year-old log flume from Epcot, and possibly a copy of the Millennium Falcon if they cheap out. That's it. That's all they're getting. For €2 billion. Oh, and a space for a third land, which will just be unpopulated and empty. They have to walk past to get round to the Frozen Land. When you look at it realistically, I mean, they've even cancelled Alien Swirling Saucers, which is probably the cheapest thing on there. Oh, no, I got rid of that. And that's still on the concept art on the bloody construction wall as well.
One of these aerial waltzer things.
No, it's more like an actual on-the-ground waltzer thing. It's called a whip ride. And you just whip around. It's just a spinning thing. They cancelled that. It's gone. Despite the fact it's on the concept art, it's not coming. So
it's not filling me with any excitement, and I certainly don't feel the need to rush back to Disneyland Paris.
No, and I mean, even look at the Avengers Campus, which they've just opened. It's just a concrete jungle with one new ride and one half a ride, which is so bad it looks like it's going to be closed down and rethemed anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not the only ones that make mistakes, because Universal really shot themselves in the foot with that Fast and Furious.
Yes, they did.
That was just awful.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Let's go on a bus and watch cinema footage being projected next to you. Yeah, that's really great, that.
But let's look at this $6 billion capital expenditure. Do they plough it into a new park? What do you think?
I think, well, I mean, so what? If they can't even decide whether they're going to give us Galaxy's Edge or not in Paris, I can't imagine they're going to give us a third park in Paris anytime soon. I think we were talking recently about...
Will they go for a new castle park somewhere else in the world?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, they haven't hit the Asian markets as in India. and that region.
Well,
the
Middle East, really, wouldn't it?
It's-
It would be the Middle East, really, wouldn't it? Be the main target point, like Eastern Europe or the Middle East.
I mean, there was concept art released online several years ago for a Disneyland Dubai that was being
Yeah.
blue skied, and it was real.
That's more like it. I agree with Ollie. Middle East is more of a market than India's not a market. India's not a developed country yet.
I mean,
But then, obviously, India would be accessible to, well, Dubai would be accessible to like your middle class Indians, wouldn't it? Really?
oh, absolutely, yeah, yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely
Even the
correct.
Prime Minister of India is saying things like, India will be a developed country by 2035 and things like that. So, I mean, even the Indians accept that India is not a developed country. So it's not ready for a Disney park.
It's surprising, really, that they haven't gone after the the oil money before, really, because having 3 parks in China and Japan, and not one. And I know that obviously Japan has a lot of money.
Yeah, but those 3 parks in China and Japan are not in any way owned, well, and in any majority anyway, owned by the Walt Disney Company. Japan's owned by the Oriental Land Company, and China's.
I thought Shanghai was.
Shanghai is sort of it's a 50-50 partnership with the government. You don't do anything in Shanghai without the government being
No,
involved.
of course. But I thought Disney had more of a say than they do in Japan, anyway.
Well, yeah, they have. But the thing is, when you look at the Japanese parks, you start to think to yourself, I'm pretty glad Disney don't have a say. Because those
Yeah.
parks, the
Oh,
ones owned
God,
by the
yeah.
OLC, are just glorious. And look
Another
what
level.
look what they're building just as a slight expansion to Tokyo Disney Sea. They're building that Fantasy Springs thing with like Tangled Land, Peter Pan Land, giving us several new rides all in one go. It looks amazing. And
Like the detail and the theming is unbelievable. It's just like ridiculous.
but when you look at those, when you look at what the Oriental Land Company can do and what they have been doing with their 2 parks, you start to think maybe Disney aren't. Well, maybe Disney do design these things. The Imagineers do design these things, but they're let off the leash a bit more because Oriental Land Company are willing to pump in the money, whereas
Yeah.
the Walt Disney Company aren't. So maybe this $6 billion is a good thing, in so much as they will be allowed off the leash a bit to create something cool.
Yeah. And if they did
Or maybe
go
maybe they
to the,
build a casino in Vegas.
Yeah.
Or a brothel.
Yeah.
we've moved up. We've moved past that. We moved past that. I was thinking if they go into Dubai, they could. I mean, there would be enough money to kind of make it as good as Tokyo, and B, it would
Nope.
possibly draw customers away from Paris.
Nope.
Do
I
you think?
disagree. Dubai just does. It's not a country that's viable because financially they're pretty dead. They're pretty bankrupt. Look what they did with them Palm Islands, for example. Right? They just never got finished. They just,
Cancelled.
they-
They're officially cancelled now.
yeah, they're officially cancelled. We've got on the end of one of those palms was meant to be like a Six Flags, a SeaWorld, an Aquatica, a Discovery Cove. I mean, the shape of it's made out like a killer whale, so that the SeaWorld parks could go on it. And
Wow.
they're not going there. Six Flags cancelled their project. I think Universal had a project in the Middle East they cancelled. It's just not viable. Dubai is
Okay.
not a viable place right now. They built all these luxurious things. It was an if you build it, they will come kind of moment, and they didn't come.
Yeah.
They built it, they didn't come.
Why not? Because of it's the weather or the culture or what was it?
They overspent and underdelivered.
Okay. Yeah, we've heard that before.
Culture might be a problem as well, to a degree.
Well, yeah, absolutely. When in a lot of, I mean, they're a lot more lax in Dubai and even Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
They're a little bit more lax, but still, in a lot of cultures, women have to cover up. There's also the problem of when you want to go to a neighbouring country, you may have to go to an attraction, and the women might have to queue separately, right?
Yeah.
These sorts of things. The culture there is just not inviting. Now, I'm not saying that that's a problem. I'm just speaking to the reality of the situation.
Mhm. Yeah.
Anyhow,
So if they don't go into Dubai and they've got this $6 billion they're going to spend, what they can do? They're going to go for a second park in Hong Kong or Shanghai.
I don't think so. Remember, they're under contractual obligation actually at some point to build a third gate in Paris. They are
Yeah.
they're under obligation. I believe the delivery date right now is around 2030. It's been pushed back several times, but If they want to keep all that land, which they got at a very, very enticing price, they have to do it. So,
Yeah. But then it would be running at a loss because they can barely sustain 2 parks.
well, exactly. But
sorry.
that's all right, John.
Would they ever consider building in South America? And I know they get an awful lot of South American traffic to their Florida park. I'm just wondering if it would be viable for them to build in South America. Brazil, probably.
Maybe. But I don't know if they want to build new resort destinations. They've made so many plans, haven't they? Like Disney's America, and they've made all of these plans for weird little parks which have like different themes. They never come to fruition. So we should only time will tell, I guess. $6 billion though is a nice little chunk of change. But when
it sounds like a park, doesn't it? It doesn't sound like a land. It doesn't sound like hotels. It sounds like a park.
But if it's for their entire company, you've got to remember that's not just parks and resorts.
True. No, you're right. Yeah, and that's a good point.
That's everything. So capital expenditure. Let's say, for example, 4 to 5 billion of that goes towards parks and resorts, because usually, from what I understand, their capital expenditure mostly goes there. So
yeah.
So we do have an increased budget on parks and resorts. We shall see what they deliver. I believe the money for Paris's expansion is paid. So.
Really?
I believe that was all in back then. So we shall just see what happens. Moving on.
Yep. It's going to be interesting.
Very interesting indeed.
So the next one, and kind of goes back to what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, about the retheming of Splash Mountain, and the continued wokeness of the parks and the erasure of particular characters and films. Brer Fox and Brer Bear did not return with the Boo-To-You parade at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party in Florida this week or last week. Are we surprised?
No, because
they're like these 2 characters. Like obviously, they've never had any real kind of cultural history. There's been no connection with like European or UK audiences, so we've never seen much of these characters over here at all, really. Whereas in America, they're beloved characters. Like they're a part of the fabric of the parks. They've been around since day one.
Splash Mountain is a beloved attraction, right? It is.
Yeah.
It hasn't
and the characters were in the parks before then as well.
Yeah, I was going to say Splash Mountain hasn't been around since day one of the parks, but it's a beloved attraction in its current form. The characters, the attraction as it stands is not in any way controversial, I would say. It's not. But it's just the connotations that the woke have made towards it. They've said it's outdated. It can't be allowed anymore. I mean, remember what they did to pirates? Just making Red the pirate, who was being sold at the auction, now a female pirate.
Well, coming in on that, Ben, actually, if you we were talking about how awesome Tokyo is, Tokyo didn't change the auction scene in Pirates of the Caribbean. It's still there in its original form because they don't put up with that crap.
Good. Good. We're not supposed to rewrite history. If they've presented it in such a way and they want to keep the attraction, then present it in that way. Deleting or removing Brer Fox and Brer Bear from this parade is simply another example of how they're terrified of the woke. Because they wouldn't be making this decision if they hadn't gone for the retheme of Splash Mountain. And the only reason they've gone for the retheme of Splash Mountain, and to what they're retheming it is because a load of woke people made some noise on Tinternet. And it's that simple.
Why are they retheming Splash Mountain? What?
You weren't here for that episode, don't we? But yeah, we'll do a quick recap because John wasn't here for that episode. But Splash Mountain, John, is based on the 1946 film Song of the South, which is an adaptation of Joel Chandler Harris's African-American folk tales from the late 19th century, beloved throughout the United States. They're as famous as Davy Crockett and Paul Bunyan and Johnny Appleseed. Like literally, like that, all the folk tales that Walt was recreating in the 40s and 50s and 60s. This was a part of that kind of the American history. The ride Splash Mountain opened in '89, I think, and was based on that film. But it was of its time. Obviously, the film was made in 1946.
Yeah.
It was of its time. It was insensitive. It was set in Reconstruction. It wasn't set during slavery. It was set during Reconstruction. And there's no overt racism in the film whatsoever. But characters are portrayed insensitively for our time. And so now we've had, in 2009, we had The Princess and the Frog, which was another kind of story based on African American culture, and so decided to replace the Splash Mountain theming with Princess and the Frog theming. So it's going to become Tiana's Bayou. Yeah, I know you're loving this, right? It's going to become Tiana's Bayou Adventure, I think.
Yes.
But obviously the bayou. The hilarious thing is that the bayous are flat. Obviously the bayous in New Orleans and Louisiana are flat.
Yeah.
And this is a log flume ride, which is named after is a mountain. So yeah, they're shoehorning Tiana and Princess and the Frog into what previously was the Song of the South Splash Mountain ride. There you go.
Crazy.
Because woke.
Yep. Go woke. Go broke.
And I mean, people are up in arms about it. They think it's an awful idea. And then you've got the 6 woke people who call for it on Tinternet going, yay!
But that's the hilarious thing, though, because, we know how politically America is like us at the moment. It's very polarized. And you've got as many people, if not a lot more people, who don't agree with this, who go to Disney parks and spend their money. So it does, I do wonder why companies like Disney are in such a hurry to change everything so quickly.
Because they're terrified.
When it's like less than 10% of the population that are calling for it.
They're terrified because some loud minority on Tinternet called them racist.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Overreacting. They're overreacting and knee-jerking to everything that's going on just now, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
And that's why we need more people like David Zaslav from Warner Brothers, and we need people like Netflix to turn around and say, no, we're not doing it anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think Chapek is like that behind closed doors, but I think, as we've seen with the so-called Don't Say Gay bill, we've seen he will play both sides, and just basically he will come out on whichever side becomes the popular idea.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
he doesn't even care about. Sorry, then you go.
I think Bob Chapek understands and knows that only 8% of the US population subscribe to this woke ideology, right? So it's 8 in 100 subscribe to this woke ideology. What he needs to do is root it out and remove it from the company. Because ultimately all it's going to do is hurt the company's coffers and hurt the company's profits. And you can do things like raise the gate prices to try and counteract the hurt that's being done. But all we have to do is look at, and this is a good old segue, Lightyear, which has lost a load of money, right?
Good.
Because it's a pile of crap.
She-Hulk's going to lose a lot of money as well, by the looks of things.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the hit that they think it's going to be, unless it is really good and somehow they've managed to write a brilliant story, and we can just look past the dodgy CGI. And like I said, Tatiana Maslany's a great actress.
It's not even the dodgy CGI. The whole scene in the car was awful.
Yeah, it was. But like I said, Tatiana Maslany is a great actress, and I feel like they're doing her dirty. So it's not about her being a woman. It's nothing to do with that. I think she's a great actress. I think they picked the right woman, and they're gonna destroy it with shit story and awful graphics.
Yeah.
Because this is what's been happening with the Marvel shows. You get episode 1 to 5, I think this is an 8-episode show possibly, so maybe episode 1 to 7 of just filler crap and then a big CGI fight at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's the same formula and it's boring.
Yeah, I mean, Obi-Wan was weak until the last couple of episodes, and Miss Marvel was pretty much weak the whole way through. Mm-hmm. Andor, I think Andor's got a ridiculous amount of episodes. You see how many episodes Andor's got? I think it's got something like 20 episodes.
Well, I can imagine Andor's been in production for about 3 bloody years.
Yeah.
And they didn't shoot it on the volume, which means I'm quite looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But I hope it's going to be good.
But yeah, like we were saying, like they've lost $1 billion on streaming. The quality of the shows is going down. They're dumping films to Disney Plus quickly if they're not making any money in the
Well,
cinema.
Lightyear's there now. It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, as soon as they realized Lightyear was a bomb, they announced it to go to Disney Plus. Obviously, they released 3 Pixar films in a row to Disney Plus.
They did.
This is the fourth one after those 3 went straight to Disney Plus, and it didn't do well in the cinema, so they put it straight to Disney Plus. So yeah, like they potentially are making a big loss on a lot of these things.
Yeah, and we go back to that old saying, don't we? You get woke, you go broke, and it seems to stand the test of time. That philosophy. Just make a good product, Disney.
Yeah.
That's all we want you to do. Just make a good bloody product. And they seem to have forgotten how to do that because they're so bloody terrified of not ticking this box, not ticking that box. It's ridiculous. Forget about your boxes, stop ticking your boxes, and make a good product. That's all we want. And then if you do that, we will consume that product. That is how you get customers. But the thing is, they go one step further, don't they? And you've got people like Kathleen Kennedy quite literally calling their fans sexist and racist.
Yeah.
Alienate your fans, why don't you? I mean, if Bob Chapek wants some financial advice, fire them all.
Yeah.
Every last one of these woke idiots that is got some kind of leash around your neck and is saying to you, You've got to follow this ideology. Oh, there's too many people of a certain complexion in that production. You best tick some boxes. Fire them. Get rid of them. That's simple. And then you might actually gain some respect and start making some money again. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's ironic, really, that the last 3 Pixar films all went straight to Disney Plus and they were all good, and then the 4th one, which goes back into the cinema,
awful,
was a pile of crap.
And then I'm sure they replaced Tim Allen with Chris Evans for woke reasons.
No, 100% because of his Republican views.
Although we've seen a little reprieve with that, haven't we? Because they have hired him back for a Santa Claus show.
Oh,
Tim Allen.
I don't think they wanted to cancel him completely,
No.
but I think they just wanted to make the point, didn't they? They wanted to use this opportunity to make the point that they could do it.
So here's my prediction, and you guys can come back and bash me if I'm wrong, right? So here's my prediction live on the show. They got Tim Allen back for the Santa Claus show so they can morally degrade his character to the point that they replace him with a woman. Quite possibly a woman of colour by the end of the show. And I've no problems with that, by the way, but I'm telling you, I think that's how this show is going to go. They are going to morally degrade him. They're going to bring him down. They're going to Luke Skywalker him.
Well, what they'll do is they'll just do another. He's passing the mantle, won't they? They'll just do it's just like.
And Santa will end up being a woman.
Yeah. I think with Captain America, they did it really well. I love that show. I thought that was really good. And I think that the way the way they changed hands with Captain America made complete sense, and it worked really well.
Well, it ran. It's something that happens in the comics.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. There was a precedent for it with that character.
I'm just telling you, they don't hire back Tim Allen. They don't hire back Tim Allen to make his character look amazing.
No, I think you're probably right.
They're going to morally degrade him because he's a Republican. I'm telling you.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. Is it coming out this year or is it next year?
I think it's this year. I'm not. I know they've been shooting it earlier this year,
Okay.
so I don't think you're going to look at nearly 2 years in post-production. So it's probably this year, or even very early next year. But being Santa Claus, it's probably coming at Christmas.
Yeah.
But that's my prediction.
I mean, another thing we've got to prepare for with the woke revisionism is Hocus Pocus 2. The first one was. Yeah, I'm scared because I love the first one. The first one was unapologetically, what's the word? It was what's the word? I can't think of the right word.
You can do it.
It was just adventure. It was adventurous for its time. Like it was kind of like it was like a teen flick, but it made for Disney audiences. It was really good. I mean,
Disney made a film about attempted mass child murder.
Well, yes, and virgins, and they went. Yeah, they talked about that. And so it's going to be terrible. Hocus Pocus 2 is going to be bad.
And they've made them look. They're all. I'm sorry, I'm going to say this. They're all too old to do these roles. They don't look great, do they?
There'll be a plot point where they've aged them somehow, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like from Bette Midler's probably phoning it in for the paycheck. Put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
Sarah Jessica Parker don't need the money, so she don't need the money. But we'll see. I mean, it looks. We've literally seen one little scene and then a zoom in of them three standing there. That's really all we've seen. We've seen this very, very tiny little teaser trailer. And it's only coming out in, a couple of months or something?
I think it's September. It's literally next month.
Yeah.
End of September, I think.
Yeah. So should we have a watch party, Ollie?
I'm up for that. Yeah, let's do it.
Should we have a Hocus Pocus 2 watch party? And we can just sit here going...
I bet John's well up for it.
John's up for anything.
Yeah.
He's Scottish. Give him a pint and just tell him to do it. He's off. He's all good.
Do you have Disney Plus, John?
No.
John, I'll give you a pint. Get Disney Plus.
No.
John will have a copy of Hocus Pocus 2 at the time. Don't worry. It doesn't matter where it comes from. You have a copy. I have my ways. I have my sausages. Right, quickly before we go, in some non-Disney related theme park news, the Dragon roller coaster at Legoland Germany crashed the other day, didn't it, John?
Wow.
And yes.
Yeah, seriously injuring a few people. 2 trains collided on the track. I believe there was a failure in the braking system. Speedy recovery to everybody involved. Theme parks are not the safest places on earth, folks. Remember that.
Yeah.
Accidents can and do happen.
But that's part of the thrill, there, right? That's part of the excitement.
Oh no, it's not.
It is, and do you know what? On that note, boys,
I remember Ben telling me about, was it Nemesis?
the Smiler.
The Smiler. As we were on the Smiler, about the horrific crash that took off the 2 people in the front seat's legs.
Yeah.
I didn't. Right.
The front seats.
Right, boys. You two are going to need to round out the show. I've got to answer this phone.
Right. Okay. Right.
Yes.
Well, Ollie, it's your show.
Yes.
You want to close it down?
Well, I mean, yeah. Thanks for joining us again, John. It's been fun talking to you. It's good to have your viewpoint on everything. What do you make of everything as a whole this afternoon, with this evening? Sorry, with all the money kind of on the wokeness and the machinations of the Walt Disney Company. What does how does it make you feel?
That's probably a panic, though.
I don't feel warm and cozy about Walt Disney anymore.
No.
Doesn't seem
can
to
I call
be
you
the
back in 2
company
minutes?
that
I've literally
used-
got to close this show.
It's not the company of my youth.
Right.
You know, the one that made Bambi and Dumbo and the Jungle Book and all that. I mean, Disney movies were brilliant, and everybody in their auntie wanted to see them, but just seem to have lost their way somewhat.
My apologies for that. I'm glad my wife called me when she did, so we are going to have to close this show for this week.
No probs.
So,
good.
On that note, thank you, Ollie, for your insight into the Walt
You're
Disney
welcome.
Company.
I think everyone should like and subscribe. If people have been watching this to the end, make sure they like and subscribe.
And if you've not been watching it live,
And
make
if you're
sure
not
you
watching
like and
it now-
subscribe.
Just disregard everything we've said.
Yeah,
It's been fun anyway.
it's just 3 grown men talking shite. But we hope you enjoyed it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
A wave. Smile and wave.
Smile and wave. Smile and wave. And just keep doing it until I say stop. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. That's right. Like and subscribe.